Very warm. India. Right. How long since you come here? John.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lizzie O'Shea, and it's my pleasure as the President of the UWA Student Guild to welcome you to our discussion on the importance of education with His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama of Tibet. May I also extend a warm welcome to UWA students and staff, students from local high schools, those who have travelled from Albany and regional areas, especially for this event, and to those watching online. Before we begin, it is my privilege to introduce Dr. Richard Wally, one of Australia's leading Aboriginal performers and writers, to welcome us to country on behalf of the Noongar community.
Kaya. Kaya wa? Yeah. Yeah. I'm in my civvies today. Yesterday was traditional with paint. Kaya, maman jinang nanok, nanak jinang ngara boja, nanak jinang wajak boja, ngara mort boja. Maman jinang nanok, nanak karajan, nanak ko karajan. Budawan, nanak wort ko, nanak kalak, nanak boja, nanak mort, maman jinang nanak kaya wa. Ngara mort, nanak kora mort jinang ngara yay. Budawan, maman jinang nanak kora mort, jinang ngara kaya wa. So may the good spirit be with each and every one of us and watch over us here in this is called the Wajak section of the Noongar language group. May the good spirit guide us through this presentation. May we absorb knowledge and take the knowledge that we learn and pass it on to those who require it. Kaya, ngara jaban janang nanak, nanak wort ko nanak kanak kaya. And may the good spirit take each and every one of you safely home to your families when this presentation is over. I will play a little bit of didgeridoo and do a song through the didgeridoo for you. And Kayawa, Mama Janang Nanak. I'd like to thank the Guild and the organisations that put this together because it shows a sign of respect to us as a culture. Respect is our greatest asset as a people. The stronger the respect, the greater the communities. Kayawa. Kaya, Mama Janang Nanak Kaya.
Thank you. when you, when you blow that, you also do that. I noticed that. So we Tibetan also, they sound continuously, but like that.
Thank you, Dr. Wali, for welcoming us all today. As a representative of the student body of the University of Western Australia, it is indeed an honour to welcome His Holiness the Dalai Lama to UWA today. His Holiness is a man of peace, having been awarded the Distinguished Templeton Prize for his commitment to interfaith relations and the Nobel Peace Prize for his non-violent struggle for the liberation of Tibet. He has consistently advocated policies of non-violence and has received recognition of his message of peace, interreligious understanding and compassion worldwide. Today, His Holiness joins us to discuss the importance of education, a topic about which we're all very passionate, and one of universal importance beyond cultural or religious differences or national borders. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama of Tibet.
I go there.
You don't have to if you...
Good morning, everybody. I always start call brothers and sisters. Actually, 7 billion human beings on this planet are our brothers, sisters. If we keep a sense of oneness, all 7 billion human beings, regardless what religious faith, what nationality, what races, what color, what differences of social background or social status. We are basically same. I always say when I meet people, especially some officials, including President or Prime Minister, I always look human level. When I sort of saw human level, just as a normal human being, then immediately, you see, we feel very close. Some people stress more importance of official sort of status. Then more difficult to feel close. Like I often use mentioning, like a former president of the United States, Mr. Bush. On human level, very nice person. When I first time as a meeting with him, immediately, you see, he act like human being. And some other sort of leaders or presidents, when we met, they emphasize more on president, sort of, how to say, presidentship way. Then, this is sometimes it's difficult to feel that we are same, talking same human being like that. So I think many problems, including shyness, shy, nervousness, come on the level we consider something differences. When I consider you same human being, emotionally, mentally, physically, we are same. The way we born, same way. The way we die, same way. And during that period, we naturally want happy life. And I think as a social animal, when we received affection from others, we feel very happy. And that's the way we've grown up. Some scientists say after birth, next few weeks, mother's physical sort of touch is the key factor for proper development or enlargement of the child's brain. At that time, the child, no idea, mother or like that. But biologically, we equipped that way. Immediately, as soon as born, we totally rely on that person. That person also, they say, take full care of that child. Even animal, the mother, they say, take care tremendously. Even some sort of danger faces, mother, the bird, I also noticed, they say the danger of her own life. Mother accept that danger in order to protect or save their youngster. This is nothing to do with religion, but by nature. So we really think more seriously about these good part of our nature. And anger, jealousy, these also is part of our life. But if we study, look closely, the dominant emotion whole life is affection, love. Anger, something like foreign visitor, come, go, come, go. Love, affection is the key factor for survival, isn't it? So now here, mainly student, so young people. Young people is really the basis of our hope. Whether this 21st century can be happy century or miserable century, entirely depend on this younger generation. So, indeed, I feel very happy when meeting with young people, young student. I usually describe, you are the generation of 21st century, including myself and those, some old teachers. We are the generation of 20th century. Our century gone. I think the 20th century's generation, I think, create a lot of problem. Now you have the responsibility to solve this problem. We create sufficient problem, then say bye-bye, disappear. now it is your turn about dealing these problems and how to reduce. Not only you say how to face this problem today, but think rest of this century. How can build more happier world, less trouble, less killing, less bully, less cheating. These things we cannot rely on machine or computer. Computer cannot build happy human society. Here, our own mind and brain, mainly emotion, this destructive emotion, remain dominant sort of force in our mind. Then trouble will not cease. So positive, dominant sort of emotion, love, affection. When you have sort of quite sort of stable way or experience of love and compassion, then forgiveness, tolerance automatically come. So therefore, firstly, I really feel great honor speak the student of the university. And then me personally, when I look, let's say, same my age, then when I look at their face, sometimes I feel, you go first or me go first. 100% sure we have to go, isn't it? So then, meeting with young people, then a short moment, I also feel younger, isn't it? So I really enjoy meeting with young people and share our different experiences. So I prefer now this sort of session, not just my talk. I think interaction, question and answer. I prefer that. Basically, this is my sort of belief, as I briefly mentioned. The warm-heartedness is the key factor to build healthy body, healthy mind. Through that way, healthy person, healthy family, healthy community. This community, through awareness and pay more attention about this inner value, other community also, then gradually whole nations. Through that way, there are people who really showing genuine interest, genuine commitment, promotion of this value in America and Europe. Now in India, also now growing. So then Australia, all parts of the world, if you make effort, then there is possibility to achieve happy humanity. So that's my main also the belief. Whenever I meet people, I always talk that. Now let us some kind of interaction way. Interaction.
Perfect.
Question
Well,
and answer.
We prepared some
There's
questions earlier.
Some written question.
Um,
Okay, good.
Perfect.
But then direct question, I prefer.
well,
Direct question with smile, I feel happy. A question with like that, I don't like. But okay, if you prefer some sort of critical question with like that, welcome.
perfect. Well, our first question today is from Branya, who's a student at Aramore Catholic College.
이해 맞으세요? Okay.
She's just
One clear sign of old age is here. And you see here, white hair, white hair. Sometimes you say, I feel there is sort of serious sort of different opinion. The black hair, they say black hair is better. They say now getting older, so white hair isn't better. Then here, this part, they say, neither black hair or white hair, just bald. His case, you see, the white hair now win. my head still, you see, struggling. Like that, okay.
perfect. Well, we'll start with Ranya's question.
Good morning, Your Holiness. As you are probably aware, the school experience can be quite stressful, and the stress can lead students to act out negatively. So my question for you today is, can you suggest some simple everyday things that we can do to promote happiness and peace and harmony in our communities?
가자. First is to say. But I think stress itself, although I do not know the exact meaning, this word, stress, but I think there's some positive work, including study, sometimes you see a little bit sort of stress, right? Stressful. Then doing is some, say, I think including try to kill someone, more nervous and more sort of stress. So the real sort of the basis of the stressful make differences. So myself also, so when I carry study, firstly, I'm a very lazy student. When you see time come, about my tutor come and lesson, then I feel, something like darken. That you see, because of count such day, a holiday, then I always sort of look forward that day, like that. So I'm very, very lazy student. So my age around 20, 21, 22, 23, then already the date of final examination fixed. Then I pay much attention for study, stressful there. Sometimes tomorrow some important examination, then the previous night, sometimes even sleep disturbed. Too much stressful. But that stressful is positive, isn't it? So you see, think that way. So as a student, when you carry serious study, a little bit sort of stressful, it's positive. But meantime, you should think, the final good examination, and through that way, sort of good life with certain profession. Then thinking, you see, the purpose or result of your hard study. Then okay, even you see the little bit sort of anxiety, right, and stressful, is actually positive. That brings more effort. Okay, that's my view.
Thank you.
Next question.
Our next question is from Yaralu, who is a student at Scotch College.
Good morning, Your Holiness. Although the Aboriginal experience of the invasion of Australia is not the same as the Tibetans, the histories of our forced dislocation from land and culture are similar. As an Aboriginal youth with the opportunity to obtain a world-class education, I am striving to help build a modernised Aboriginal society, while also keeping my culture and language alive. How can Buddha's teaching on morality and wisdom help us to create a better future for Indigenous Australians?
Indigenous way. Oh, very good question. Just day before yesterday, I met the indigenous people around Kasa, the Uluru or something, Kasa, Uluru. Difficult to pronounce. Uluru, isn't it? Uluru, okay. So there I expressed, firstly, I respect indigenous people's culture. In every part of the world, there are indigenous people, they have their own culture, including their own language. And their culture develop according to the particular sort of environment and their way of life. So that culture is something that's very much related with their kasota, the reality. So preservation of one's own cultural heritage is their right and very important. Now here, I notice some Latin American native and some American native Red Indian. Then some native people in northern part of Scandinavian country, mainly, or Norway, they call Sami land. Then also New Zealand, Maori, and Hawaii also some native people, and Taiwan also some native people. So it seems quite clear. Some native people, all native people have the sort of same sort of what's the concern, how to preserve their identity, their culture, including their language. All have the same right, but you see some, in order to preserve their culture, their identity, with modern education, like Sami land people and Maori people, and Canada, even they call First Nation. So with modern education, modern technology, and still keep their identity. That's the right way. Some Latin American native people, ones I met, they are very much concerned about preservation of their own identity, their own culture, but because of that, they prefer remain isolated. That is wrong method. So now here, you come from native sort of people and getting modern education. And that's the right way. So there are indigenous people whom I met. Firstly, their hygiene, very poor. Children, each children, something here. So I very much sort of, almost to say I use my sort of kasadi, hangi, you see, wipe out their sort of thing. But then too many. So then I, and then those indigenous peoples, elder people, when I touch my head and shake hand, I notice their eye quite yellow. So something wrong. their height, their their health. So I mentioned there, number one priority is hygiene. Then training. I also mentioned must sort of get education. These matter I mentioned there. So therefore, you see, I think now you already step in the right direction, like Maori people and Samiland people. With modern education, they utilize all our right. Very good. Without education, then always remain behind. Okay, just complain, not help. Do. Try. And then also one occasion in South Africa, Soweto, I visited there. I met one African native family. There is one young African, black African. He introduced himself as a teacher. Then we casual talk, and I told, you already have democratic constitution, equal right now. But it is easy on written, equal, and democratic constitution. But important is you, black people, should work hard and utilize because of equal opportunity and make same level or something. Then that black teacher told me they cannot compete with white people because our brain is inferior. I really shocked. Then I argue with him. This is totally wrong. If you ask some brain specialist, doctor, if you ask any differences due to different color, they will say, no, 100% same human brain. Then also I mentioned my own case. As some tragic situation happened. And sometimes there is some kind of discrimination. But only the thing is the opportunity. When we also, you see, get same opportunity, we Tibetan also can be top. So sometimes you see certain sort of people. I said, look, the certain people, you are a little bit inferior. So that's just, I think, according to their policy or something. You see, they perhaps they may believe, or perhaps not believe, but use that. So therefore, you should. So long sort of argue with that person. Then finally, you see, his response is, now I believe. Because with a long sigh, long sigh and low key voice, he responded to me, yes, now I believe we are same. At that moment, I feel some kind of tremendous sort of relief. At least to one person's mental attitude, I made some help to change that. So like that. So you see, you should have full self-confidence. And as I mentioned there, we are same human being. Different color, or different size of nose. And I think it's nice to see directly one quite big nose, one flat nose. These are minor differences. You see, inside the skull, brain, exactly same. as a human being, the potential of love, compassion, same. Isn't it? 100% same. So use these intelligence and warm-heartedness, combine these two things. Intelligence alone sometimes brings disaster and also create a lot of problem. So intelligence, warm-heartedness must go combined. Then our marvelous human intelligence can be constructive. Clear? I think many troublemakers on this planet, they are, as far as their brain is concerned, quite active, quite sophisticated, but lack of moral principle here. So their wonderful brain used for destruction, create a lot of suffering, and finally they themselves never be a happy person. I think like Hitler or Stalin, these people, individual, their own sort of case, I don't think they are a happy person. Too much arrogance, right? Too much anger, too much sort of, negative emotion, like that. So, destructive emotion is visual destruction, or some harmful activities, or bring some suffering to others, and also they themselves, in a world, very unhappy person. Too much anger, very difficult. So therefore, you see, now I turn on your face now. So you see, you should think. You see, we are equal. Only question is opportunity. Now you got opportunity. So utilize that opportunity fully and make effort. I notice number of sort of educated, sort of the native people, wonderful. I think your neighbor, New Zealand, you should copy. Maoris, how they're doing. Lawyers, politicians, and administrators. That's very good. Okay. Next question.
Our next question is from Professor Samini Yasmeen, who's a staff member in political science and international relations at UWA.
All questions come this side, not this side. Why? Okay.
Good morning, Your Holiness. This side is better than that side. But I'm sure they'll ask you questions too.
Okay.
I would like to draw your attention to what's happening internationally in politics with a lot of young people going from not just Australia but other countries into areas like Iraq and Syria. And so that's getting a lot of governments to start policies and strategies for controlling radicalization. So I know you're not a radical person, but in your opinion, Your Holiness, what is a better strategy to address the question of radicalization of youth in today's world? Through security legislation, or would you suggest some other means?
That's exactly as I mentioned earlier. You see, our existing education system, firstly, very much oriented about material value. In material field, moral, no connection. I think more material facility, more greed than exploitation, corruption. So now these people who grown up that kind of society, that kind of education, then easily manipulate. You see, on the basis of strong feeling or strong concept, we and they. Then, you see, because of very strong sort of feeling or concept of we and they, then sometimes their side, in order to eliminate other, they feel great thing. Destruction of your enemy is a victory of yourself. That's century-old thinking. Now that must change. Think humanity as the same human being. Then some concept, we and they, yes, it is, there. But, you see, they also human being. They also want happy life. They also have the right to live happily. So strong feeling that then the concept of differences on the basis of religious faith or racial or nationality, that's secondary. So therefore, long run, we have to introduce some sort of lesson in modern education system about moral principle. Now here, problem is all major world institutions have the moral principle, teaching of moral principle. Wonderful. But if we teach people which moral principle relying on religious belief, then on this planet, I think at least over 3,000 years, different religious belief there with different philosophical views. So then, what religion? Difficult. So therefore, in Indian Constitution, now, you know, Indian Constitution is based on secular concept. Because India, 1,000 years, multi-religious nation. So the India's constitution for all Indian. Therefore, you see, cannot sort of stress one religious faith. Now sometimes you see some sort of Hindu sort of say, some people say fundamentalist. And in a way, you see, sometimes you see more emphasis on particular religion, then sometimes some difficulties you see develop. So therefore, because of that reality, the India's constitution based on secular. And according to Indian understanding, I think you know better. However, I spent now last 56 years in India as a refugee. One way, I'm longest guest of Indian government. So you see, at the last a few decades, I learned through personal contact, right? Personal interaction, right? Like that. So therefore, according to Indian understanding about secular is respect all religions, all dharma. No preference, this dharma, and this religion, or that religion. And then some unique thing, according to Indian understanding. Secular also means respect non-believer. That's quite unique and very relevant to today's world. There's out of 7 billion human beings, over 1 billion non-believer. So we cannot sort of exclude these people. These also human beings must bring together as human brothers, sisters. So the teaching or education about moral principle, if based on religion, then firstly these non-believer, they may not pay attention, not suitable to these people. And secondly, within the believer, there are, of course, I usually look all religions, all major religions, three aspects. One aspect of all major religions is message of love and practice love and forgiveness, tolerance, these things. That aspect, all major religious tradition, same. That's the basis to build real harmony on the basis of mutual admiration, mutual respect. The second aspect of all major religious tradition, philosophy. Here philosophy is concerned, big differences. Firstly, theistic religion, that means believe creator. Then non-theistic religion, it means no concept of creator, ourself as a creator. That's Jainism, Buddhism, one part of Sangha philosophy. All these three, all are Indian ancient tradition. So, non-belief, no belief, right? No belief, creator. Then within the theistic religion, there are differences. Islam, one God, Allah. Christian, Trinity. There are some slight differences. Judaism, I don't know. Although I have a lot of Jewish friends, many. I do not know its detail. As well as Zoroastrian, also I have some friend, but I do not know detail like that. So in any way, so philosophical views, and then within the non-theistic religion, Jainism, Buddhism, Sankhyaism, the Sankhya, Jain, both accept independent self or soul, theory of soul. Indian language, Atma. Only Buddhism do not believe that. Anatma. Do you heard two concepts, Atma and Anatma? Have you heard? Your mind, which philosophical view more closer? Atma. Good. So philosophical views, there are many differences. But then we have to ask or raise question, what is the purpose of these different philosophy? The same purpose, to strengthening concept of love or conviction about the importance of love. Use different philosophy. So, different philosophy, useful to a variety of people. So, and different circumstances, different sort of environment. I think Zoroastrian, Christianity, Judaism, Islam from Arab side. And then the Sangha, Jain, and Buddhist from India. So it's in different circumstances, different environment. So at least this is some differences of mental disposition. So these different philosophy come. But all carry same teaching, teaching of love. Okay. Then third aspect, that's cultural heritage. So that also is very much related with the existing sort of environment, sort of situation. Some my Indian friend told me, at the time, Mahavira, the Jain as a founder, Jainism founder, come. At that period, too many animal slaughter, animal sacrifice in the name of worship, is a god or something. So then Jainism come, start, particular emphasis, non-violence, and completely stop animal sacrifice So the existing environment also, you see, makes some impact way, the religious thing. Then I feel in Quran, the Sharia law, more sort of today, because of the details of it. That also, at that time, when Muhammad, you see, his period, I think people more or less know it. No proper law, a lot of criminals, crimes. So, according to that circumstances, in his teaching, special emphasis about law, the Sharia law, in order to counter these violent sort of crimes. Okay. So 3 parts. So therefore, the Indian sort of understanding about secular, I think that's very, very relevant to today's world. Therefore, with many my friends, scientists, educationists, mainly come from America, see, we fully committed promotion of inner value through secular way. Okay. So long run, I think our education, you see, should include education about warm-heartedness or compassion, mainly, you see, based on scientific findings and our common experience and common sense. I think we can do that. Already, some American scientists and educationists, and also in British Columbia, in Western Canada, they already, you see, involved, carrying these sort of work. As a matter of fact, British Columbia, on the state level, they sort of formalize in all school within the British Columbia state. You see, all schools should include some sort of teaching, moral teaching, based on secular way. So I feel that's the only way. Otherwise, you see, the shooting and shooting back, I don't think that go like circle continuously. Okay.
I'm going to get a lot of
Then
trouble
also
if we
I
have
think
another question.
I always is expressing, once my mouth open, then one of my weakness is blah 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 blah.
Thank you.
So you know, it's quite clear. Muslim of India, Muslim in Indonesia, in Malaysia, and Jordan, and some other sort of Arab country. Same follower of Islam. But because of the cultural heritage, because of the circumstances, now India, basically, sort of Hindu nation. But all major religious traditions live together. Large number of Christians, large number of Muslims, and among the Muslims, Shia and Sunni, no record fighting between Shia and Sunni and some other tradition. Pakistan, Muslim country, lot of problem. Bangladesh, Muslim country, lot of problem. Sri Lanka, Buddhist country, some problem. So India, the most populated democratic country, a lot of problems. Sometimes in the street, a problem also created by cows. but a lot of problem, but it is still comparatively much more peaceful, isn't it? So cultural heritage really makes differences. Okay.
Perfect. I'd now like to invite Dr. Sue Boyd to present a vote of thanks from the university community.
Okay.
Sue has a
Thank
long
you.
relationship with UWA and was the first woman to be
I
president
think
of the UWA Student
few
Guild.
questions on this side. Otherwise, northerner and the southerner, northerner may have complaint. So some questions.
If you'd like, if
I think two questions from this side. I think I prefer, you see, each kasura, the section. I prefer one question. The main thing, my responsibility, short answer.
Good morning, Your Holiness. The question I was wanting to ask is, in this day and age, how would you view, what are your opinions on overpopulation and material possessions on stuff?
Population now, I think, beyond our control. According some people or some report, they say this moment 7 billion human beings. When I first come to India, then 6 billion. Now last few decades, now already reached 7 billion. Now within this century, end of this century, human population will reach 10 billions. Now the serious thing is the gap rich and poor. This must tackle. So then poorer section of people, their living standard uplift higher. So then there are a lot of problems. The natural resources. So it is quite complicated thing. However, I think with the help of science and technology and use solar power, the other day also, as I mentioned, since many years, this Australia, huge land. You see, in the center, in the much portion of just wasteland. Use solar because of solar energy, and then plantation. Actually, day before yesterday, when I sort of meet with the people, I suggested them. See, firstly, is some vegetable garden should start, and then some corns and some other sort of because agriculture work should start, and then some fruit tree. So I mentioned. So then the question of sufficient water. Now all side of Australia, the sea there. So now question is the sea salty water transform kasachuti.
Desalination.
Desalination.
You could, turn the seawater into drinkable water, desalination.
There is technology. So then, you see, build more factory which that
Desalination.
word, I don't know.
Desalination.
Oh, yes, that. Then you see, you can. We'll make plenty of seawater into this sweet water. Then, I think many years ago, one occasion in Australia, I expressed there should be some kind of a program or plan. All sides of Australia, each decade, a few hundred square kilometer, and cultivate and plantation like that. And then Sahara, quite big sort of land, desert, a lot of sort of solar power. I saw on BBC sort of a documentary film, and some area, some country in Africa, each family, each community use solar power and electricity. That's small scale. But large scale, I think, you see, we have the technology. I think it is quite clear. I think instead of spend a lot of money for making weapon, I think should spend more money such sort of program. So eventually, I think our world should be on the basis of promotion of oneness of 7 billion human beings. Then eventually, one time, one German minister many years ago expressed after the European Union. This is not very stable now. Okay, now hold. So one the minister, you see, expressed in the spirit of European Union. I think that's the main reason. You see, he expressed now no need foreign ministry and a defense ministry. I think that's a wonderful sort of, the beginning thinking. All your neighbor, just part of you. No need of foreign ministry. That means, you see, some artificial smile, or that we call diplomatic way. I think that too much diplomatic way create more suspicion, isn't it? And then defense, you see, no use defense. So eventually, our world should be demilitarized world. I think the young people, you see, should keep such sort of visions. Make an attempt. If not achieved, doesn't matter. Then we have no regret. If making no effort, then miserable world still continue. Then finally, when time of our death, we feel regret. Make attempt, fail, no regret. Isn't it? So like that. So good job. Correct. So overpopulation, I think firstly, I think in up to a certain degree, birth control. Use rubber. Like that. I think a real sort of sometimes some operation. That's something permanent. So I think too extreme. So best thing is rubber. Like
And
that.
on
Now
that
next
note-
question. Next question. From here. This group. Yes.
Oh dear.
Yes.
Good morning, Your Holiness. I believe that throughout life you should always be a student, that you should always be learning and trying to, realize that there's always something to be known that you don't know yet, or that there's always a new view that you don't have yet that might be better for you to sort of try and think about and adopt. But I also think that if I'm going to be spreading a message of peace, and if I'm going to be spreading those sort of ideas, I also need to learn to become a teacher in some way. What sort of advice do you have for being able to talk to other people and being able to spread that message of peace?
Mrs. Shandaya, could you So as I mentioned earlier, you see, an existing education system, not adequate. So eventually, some of our friends already, you see, making research, serious research and experiment, some kind of curriculum about moral principle entirely based on secular concept. So now here, teacher, very important. Teacher should not carry just a simple sort of work to explain. the sort of particular subject. No, you should sort of show the student real sort of, actually, the value of compassion. Then value of compassion, empty word will not sort of carry the real meaning. So the teacher should sort of implement the compassionate sort of action. When you're teaching, give teaching, keeps in your mind the responsibility, heavy responsibility to making happy life on that individual student. So you should carry that kind of sense of responsibility and accordingly teach. So sometimes in India, some of our sort of school, some teachers,
some lady teachers actually, keep on needing sweaters.
Just a few explanations, but actually not much sort of serious concern about well-being of the student. It happened. Some Tibetan scholars also sometimes simply they show their sort of scholarship, not much sense of concern of their students. So I think teacher, I think should involve the teaching of love or compassion, must implement. Then more effect. I think when I'm getting some lesson with my teacher, with sort of affection or love or smile, that lesson goes very deep. Sometimes my teacher, a little bit sort of angry face, then that lesson not go inside. It really makes differences. Clear, like that. So that's my view. And then other day, I think Sydney, I have some sort of meeting some of the scholars. One lady, sort of expert or scholar, mentioned for body, effect for healthy body, just thinking about love, limited, but actually implement love, serving other people. That the active love really makes tremendous impact in our health. She mentioned that. That I learned first time. So like that. Then, now question here. Oh, many questions now.
I'm going to get in a lot of trouble from your next event.
Thank you, Your Holiness.
Now he win. only one. Yes. Yes.
Okay. So as student leaders, we're often faced with the task of making difficult decisions. And sometimes what we think is right is different to what we feel is right. So I was wondering if you could provide advice on how we sort of choose the right direction and whether we go what we think is right or what we feel is right.
Kasa. I think firstly, we should think according moral principle. Then second, practical or not. So before decision take, you should think seriously. And also, take different views or suggestions from consult your friend. Usually I do that. Firstly, utilize one's own sort of intelligence, because of the maximum way, analyze. Then, second, whether this can implement or not. Then, ask some opinions. And then, if necessary, consult people, some form of voting. or majority. So that I believe that. But then you have to look case to case, like that. Difficult to generalize. Okay, last question now, this group. Now last question. No question. Oh, one there. There, Merum, there.
Thank you for the opportunity to ask a question. It seems in the modern world that fear and violence are as much a part of human nature as goodness and love. How do we take a step away, not in ourselves, but in convincing other people to avoid fear and violence?
Last over 30 years, I have serious discussion with scientists, mainly cosmology, neurobiology, and physics, particularly quantum physics. Really much interesting. Some of ancient Indian sort of concept. You see, about shunyata or patit samupad. Very similar that of quantum physics concept. Really very interesting. The Raja Ramana, have you ever heard his name? The Indian nuclear physicist. His nickname, usually called India's Sakharov, who built India's nuclear weapon. Among the scientists, he was also there. So once he told me, quantum physics in the world is something new concept. In India, 2,000 years ago, already developed that concept. So physics, particularly quantum physics, then psychology. So result is a mutual benefit. We also get immense benefit. The scientists also have immense benefit because it's a Buddhist knowledge about emotion, mind, very, very sort of detailed and very, very vast. So very useful. So I usually describe ancient Indian psychology, knowledge about mind, emotion, or science of mind. It's highly developed. You see, judging last few decades of experience, it become quite clear. The modern psychology, compare Indian ancient psychology and modern psychology, looks like kindergarten level. Ancient Indian psychology, highly developed. So in any way, so from time to time, some discussion with scientists. Then, like Richard Davidson, well-known scientist, brain specialist, so they carry some experiment. What's human basic nature? The conclusion is basic human nature is more compassionate. So as I mentioned earlier, anger, this part of our life, but dominant sort of emotion, whole our life, is compassion, affection, kindness. So that's scientific, scientifically proved that. So that's my answer. So I think wrong, your view, modern human beings, nature is more violence or more anger, is a wrong view. Thank you.
Perfect.
I think now question answer end with wrong view. Good.
And I would. And I'd now like to invite Sue Boyd to present the vote of thanks.
Your Holiness, it's my honour to be invited to offer the vote of thanks to you for your extraordinary amount of time you spent with us today and the wisdom you've shared with us. We at the University of Western Australia are proud to host such an eminent person as yourself to reflect on the hugely important and fundamental question of education. And all of us in this room today are all involved with education. The Guild of Students, the Guild of Undergraduates, which has hosted this meeting today, their wisdom, well done, in inviting all the schools to send people to be here with us today, all of us to have the opportunity to learn from you and to have an experience which may change our lives. Many of the things you've said are of fundamental importance to us, but I think what the message we take away with us is the challenge you have given us, that we are the people of the 21st century, and it's our responsibility to fix the problems. I thought my makeup was better than that. I'm speaking on behalf of the audience as a whole, Your Holiness. So we take the challenge. And we also, I have to say, take encouragement from your confession that you were a bad student to start with. We can see that one can grow and learn and use the fundamental tools and the fundamental convictions of passion and compassion and humanity that you've shared with us today. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for everything. Do you need a hand? Are you okay?